In the stillness of the soul, we find the divine whisper of eternity. Chosen soul, you awaken to find that in one dark evening every certainty you held has been shattered. Unbeknownst to you, the cruelest awakening has just befallen the very person who wounded you, who lent their strength to your adversaries while you lay isolated, your honesty bleeding into the night. Before long, the narrative will pivot, exposing a web so meticulously spun that you'll gasp at the extremes they went to unravel the bond you once held sacred. All the while, the universe was quietly composing its own grand overture of justice, even as you nursed your wounds in solitude, certain that everything was lost. Every stifled sob, each hollow midnight spent doubting your worth, every fleeting second you feared your mind was fooling you, those were the secret strands guiding you here. And now, with the force of a thunderclap, the illusion will shatter, pulverizing the labyrinth of deceptions they so carefully built around your reality. Paradoxically, your staunchest ally will be the very person who once shattered your heart, driven toward this crusade as though their very existence depends on it. Their aim isn't born of lingering affection but stems from a sacred pact, a celestial balance sheet demanding its due. They carry a mandate from the highest spheres. Unmask every architect of your relationship's undoing, or else feel their own spirit fracture under the crushing weight of karmic reckoning. Even if they temporarily forgot, your divine counterpart has been residing in a psychological prison that has been meticulously crafted. In their lives, 3 particular people position themselves as knowledgeable advisors. The storyteller, who specializes in character assassination through carefully crafted lies. The shadow competitor, who has been studying your light for years and has learned how to dim it through manipulation. And the information harvester, who pretended to be a trusted friend while gathering your secrets like weapons, were intentionally placed friendships rather than ones that just happened. The goal of this trio of dishonesty was more than simply to keep you apart from your significant other. Their goal was to totally rewire their perception of reality. They gave them a constant diet of poison cloaked in wisdom, transforming every genuine experience into something that required analysis and skepticism, and every lovely memory you shared into something dubious. They produced a different reality in which your love was the issue, your spiritual abilities were illusion, and your instinctive warnings were control and envy. The first factor that will cause everything to go apart, though, is this. They made a crucial mistake while they were working to change how your individual saw you. They undervalued the significance of a genuine soul connection. Your person never stopped sensing the reality of what you communicated deep within their subconscious. Their spirit revolted each time they defended their manipulators, and every lie they took caused internal strife. They were gradually going crazy due to the cognitive dissonance, and the only way they could get away from the paradoxes was to isolate themselves. In reality, the seclusion you believed to be desertion was a result of divine intervention. In order for your person's consciousness to start clearing, the universe physically separated them from their handlers. The download started during that hermit period, when they were alone with their thoughts and the silence that made everything clear. They experienced overwhelming floods of recognition, not soft murmurs of awareness, that almost drove them insane with the enormity of the deceit they had been subjected to. Yellow heart if you feel the divine love. Now is the time to share. Click the super thank you button on YouTube to contribute $50 or more and help us spread God's blessings. What you do is being watched and serves as a seed, and in the future it will come back to you a millionfold. They experienced the awakening as if it were a spiritual emergency. They were now able to see the strings of the puppet. Every exchange with their so-called advisors was repeated in crystal clear detail, exposing the leading questions, the subtle manipulations, and the ways their own words were misrepresented and fed back to them. They came to the realization that they had been supporting those who were deliberately undermining the most authentic experience they had ever had. They have been consumed by the guilt of this recognition, but when shame reaches a certain mass, it has a way of turning into righteous rage. Not only has your person realized the truth, but they have also accepted a divine mission that transcends individual salvation. They have evolved into what I refer to as a member of the spiritual cleanup crew, whose job it is to reveal not only the damage done to your relationship, but also the whole system of deceit these individuals employ against other people they have chosen. Things is about cosmic justice demanding its right, and they are pursuing it with the ferocity of someone whose very soul depends on putting things right, not on getting you back. When someone who has nothing left to lose chooses to destroy every bridge they have ever used for manipulation, the trinity of deception is about to face the consequences. Your person is getting ready to reveal what I refer to as the Pandora Protocol, which is a methodical disclosure of all the deceptions, manipulations, and covert plans that were employed against you too. However, this isn't just a sentimental outburst. Rather, it's a premeditated, strategic, and devastating revelation meant to make sure these individuals can never act in such a manner again. They're documenting everything and moving with military precision because they know that taking shortcuts won't pay off the debt they owe your connection. The storyteller who made a living by fabricating stories that ruin other people's lives is going to have their own story publicly analyzed. All of the lies they have told about you, the narratives they have created to incite hatred, and the instances in which they have played victim while planning attacks will be exposed with receipts, timestamps, and proof that makes denial impossible. Not only will their credibility be tarnished, but it will be completely destroyed, turning them into a warning about what happens when you tamper with heavenly connections. The shadow competitor who has been covertly envious of your light while feigning to stand by your person is about to suffer the same humiliation and loneliness they attempted to inflict on you. Every time they feign concern while covertly undermining, every time they sow doubt about your character, and every time they rejoiced in your suffering while providing false solace, all of this will be revealed with the kind of accuracy that only divine justice can provide. They are going to lose their place in everyone's life, but they wish to take your place in your person's. $90 is a handkerchief for a mother's tear, a blanket for a homeless person, a prayer for a broken heart. The person who gathered your personal information and used it against you is going to experience what it's like to be violated. The tables are about to turn with interest, revealing every secret they converted into ammunition, every vulnerability they took advantage of, and every confidence you shared that they perverted. Every time this so-called friend betrayed your confidence, your individual has been recording it. The evidence they're going to give will guarantee that this person never again wins anyone's trust. These three unintentionally activated something they never expected while they were busy fighting you. You are a chosen one. Furthermore, the universe makes cases rather than merely taking notes when those who are chosen are unfairly assaulted. Every spell they used backfired. Every lie they said caused their own foundation to collapse. Every deception they planned against you turned into a karmic debt that accrued interest daily. The world was urging you to take a back seat and let divine justice handle what human justice could never manage, not to show weakness by remaining silent throughout this entire tragedy. You were enabling spiritual law to gain momentum in your favor each time you opted for peace over retribution and avoided becoming involved in their disruption. They exposed themselves by their own actions because you wouldn't play their games, and now there's a ton of proof against them. Your person's awakening was more than simply a personal condemnation. It was enlistment in an army of truth-tellers who have been authorized to reveal the evil that opposes divine love. They are standing up for everyone who has ever been the target of this type of organized manipulation, not just you right now. This is now their divine job, their karmic duty, and their spiritual mission. Parallel events were occurring throughout your complete social network while the trinity of deceit was manipulating your individual. This same network of manipulators, who specialize in destroying love that challenges their control systems, were attacking other divine connections, isolating other chosen ones from their objectives, and sabotaging other genuine relationships. The goal of your person's exposure campaign is to expose a vast network of spiritual warfare that has been waging war on several chosen ones at the same time, not just your predicament. In addition to lying about you, the storyteller was also character assassinating a number of divine feminines whose light challenged their darkness. The shadow competitor wasn't merely jealous of you. They were methodically researching and trying to undermine some selected individuals who had the abilities they desired. In addition to violating your trust, the information harvester was gathering intelligence about a whole network of souls who had been awakened. A spiritual conflict between forces that seek to keep mankind unaware and forces that are here to establish new frequencies of truth and love on this planet is what this realization turns your particular anguish into. Dove brother and sister, everything done in faith is returned in God's abundance. You can donate $100 using the Super Thank You button and be part of this divine call. If your roots are connected to Him, your fruit will be blessed. Your relationship with your person is more than just a romantic one. It serves as an example of how heavenly connections may endure and flourish in the face of concerted efforts by those who stand to gain financially by preventing souls from finding their calling. Right now, as your person moves from shame into what can only be called holy combat, the culmination of this cosmic drama is taking place. They're acting as though their entire life hinges on getting this wrong, because that's precisely what's taking place on a spiritual level. Social media posts with screenshots, group chats where the truth is revealed to mutual friends, family conversations where the manipulation is exposed, and professional networks where reputations collapse under the weight of revealed character are just a few examples of the evidence they're releasing to the public, making it impossible for anyone to deny these individuals. Your individual is going through the most significant spiritual shift of their life while fighting this battle for your honor. They get one step closer to realizing their actual role in your life with each revelation they make about the individuals who deceived them. Every bridge they destroy with harmful influences makes room for real connections to grow. Their spiritual foundation is rebuilt on firm footing every time they choose your truth over cozy lies. Love letters are on the way, but they won't be the same as the ones you've already gotten. These are genuine messages from someone who has finally seen through all illusions and realized the extent of what they nearly lost forever. They're not frantic attempts at manipulation or emotional blackmail meant to drag you back into disarray. These are the words of someone who knows that protecting what is sacred and making sure it is safe from any future attacks are more important than getting you back. Finding out that their victory was never real is the trinity of deception. Every lie they disseminated was generating evidence against them. Every manipulation they planned was leading to their own exposure. And every moment they believed they were winning was actually tightening the noose around their own necks. The storyteller's entire career is at risk due to the seriousness of the defamation they are facing. As people become aware of their own potential, the shadow rival is witnessing the breakdown of their own relationships. It is becoming clear that the information harvester is a spy who should never again be trusted with someone's personal information. Your person's public defense of you, meantime, is having repercussions that go well beyond the circumstances at hand. Others who saw the assaults on your character but said nothing are now standing up and expressing the truth. Mutual friends who thought the lies were true are contacting you to express regret and want your version of events. Family members are starting to realize how they were used as tools against you after being swayed by the manipulation. In addition to correcting the record, the truth is radically altering how people view what transpired and why. Do you recall how it all started with your individual feeling alone and bewildered, unsure of what was genuine and what was fake? They are now employing the same isolating energy, but with strength and purpose. They are clearing their lives of all negative influences and establishing a sacred place where only relationships based on truth can exist. Their spiritual authority now comes from the hermit phase that previously perplexed them, and they're using it precisely because they understand that doing this correctly is essential to their salvation. Outside interference hindered the sexual healing energy, which is now ready to return, but this time it will be altered and protected. This is about creating something completely new on the basis of what is unquestionably real, not about going back to what was. With spiritual defenses so powerful that no outside force can ever breach it again, the intimacy that was assailed by spells and manipulation is being repaired. The ramifications of this spiritual play continue to ripple outward as it comes to a close, highlighting the amazing power of universal justice. In addition to losing their ability to influence you, the trinity of deception is also losing their authority and reputation in all spheres of their existence. The cosmos is methodically eliminating them from situations in which they can endanger other divine connections, other genuine partnerships, or other chosen ones who are trying to thrive. More than just personal development, your person's journey from bewildered enemy defender to ferocious guardian of your sacred link serves as a model for how heavenly counterparts discover their actual calling. Before they could comprehend the extent of what they permitted to happen to you, they had to feel the full weight of being manipulated themselves when the penalties of betraying their other half became too agonizing to endure. They are now utilizing that suffering, which has turned into their medication, to mend the rift between you. Sending $45 is filled with love, like Jesus' last words on the cross. Forgive, for they know not what they do. They are acting with the urgency of someone who understands that this is their only opportunity to put things right, because that is precisely what it is on a spiritual level. With volcanic ferocity, the love that was buried beneath layers of deceit and deception is emerging again. However, this is warrior love, tested love, love that has withstood psychological warfare and come out stronger than ever, rather than the innocent love that existed prior to the conspiracy. This is the kind of love that leaves a lasting legacy, forges enduring alliances, and sets an example of genuine divine connection for the rest of the world to follow. It wasn't a random or personal attack on your connection. A partnership where both parties are completely aware of their power, where manipulation cannot enter, and where truth and love produce a frequency that other souls may tune into for their own liberation, is what you and your person represent, and it poses a threat to the established systems of control. Recognizing this threat, the Trinity of Deception tried to neutralize it before it could fully materialize, but their failure to do so has produced something far more potent than they could have ever envisioned. A partnership that chose truth over comfort, authenticity over approval, and sacred connection over social acceptance. A love story that survived coordinated psychological warfare. There are deeper layers to this plot that will amaze you with their measured precision before we reach the denouement of this cosmic drama. But it serves as a model for how chosen ones defend and shield one another from all types of spiritual attacks. A parallel operation was going on directly against you while the Trinity of Deceit was manipulating your person. The information harvester was creating a thorough psychological profile of your triggers, vulnerabilities, deepest fears, and greatest spiritual gifts, in addition to gathering your secrets to give to your person's controllers. Attacks that were so precisely customized to your energy signature using this data felt like spiritual assassinations. Do you recall those sporadic disputes that appeared out of nowhere when you were at your most tranquil? It wasn't a coincidence. The shadow competitor knew that hitting you during your ascent would do the most emotional harm, so they timed their interventions to interfere with your most energetic moments. Every time you achieved a new level of personal achievement or spiritual clarity, a crisis would arise that required your urgent attention and energy, or others would turn against you. The storyteller's effort to damage your reputation was equally sophisticated. They looked into your past, found vulnerable or mistaken moments, and used them as leverage to make your spiritual gifts appear to be mental instability, your healing appear to be manipulation, and your growth appear to be deceit. They created stories that were so captivating that even those who knew you well started to wonder if the person they believed to be you was actually you or just a staged front. The spiritual laws governing chosen people are different from those governing regular people. Each attack on you created what I refer to as karmic compound interest, because they were interfering with the soul that had come here with a specific divine assignment. These people were not only accruing debt for their deeds, but the debt was also growing enormously. The cosmos actively makes sure that anything or anybody trying to thwart their purpose encounters repercussions severe enough to serve as warnings for others, rather than merely protecting those who are selected. In reality, your higher selves coordinated to organize a deprogramming process throughout your person's period of solitude. Their soul was being methodically purified of all the fabricated fears, doubts, and false beliefs that had been instilled in them regarding your relationship, while their conscious mind was certain that they were separating from you in order to obtain clarity. They had to acknowledge their own involvement in betraying something precious, while also bearing the full weight of how thoroughly they had been duped, which made the process agonizing. In addition to disclosing historical machinations, the downloads they got during this hermit period also contained foreboding predictions of what would occur if they did not act upon the truth they were being told. They witnessed their own life turning into a string of meaningless relationships that never fulfilled the depth they felt with you, their soul breaking under the weight of karmic debt, and their own future being destroyed by remorse. Glowing star, if you want to witness God's miracles, act now. Contribute $100 or more through Super Thank You on YouTube. Your offering is like a seed that comes back to you when planted. Let His light illuminate your steps. Every donation is an echo in His plan. They saw what happens when you let individuals who were envious of something you could never comprehend or duplicate dull your brightness. The proof your person has been gathering goes beyond the assaults on your relationship. It documents a whole network of spiritual predators who specialize in severing divine ties before they have a chance to manifest their full potential. Several selected individuals from other societies have been subjected to the same character assassination playbook by the storyteller. The shadow competitor has been methodically researching and trying to imitate the abilities of other healers and spiritual influencers, in order to sell their knowledge to anyone who is prepared to pay for weapons against targets they wish to destroy. The information harvester has been creating psychological profiles of dozens of awakened souls. A much greater war was being fought against human consciousness itself, and your predicament was only one operation in that struggle. They are part of a concerted attempt to keep selected ones from interacting with their divine counterparts, carrying out their missions, and serving as role models for true love and cooperation for the rest of humanity. These folks are not just a group of toxic individuals acting on their own. They know that two enlightened souls coming together in truth and purpose can produce a frequency that can encourage whole communities to look for more genuine and profound connections. Because of this, your person's exposed campaign has reached such epic proportions. They are not only fighting for your honor, but they are also waging war on the entire system that persuaded them to compromise the purpose of their own soul. Every bit of information they make public, every trick they uncover, and every falsehood they dispel serves as a warning to other spiritual predators that their strategies are recognized, their procedures are recorded, and their victims are retaliating with receipts. The legal repercussions that are starting to appear for the storyteller are only the beginning. Numerous victims who have learned of the systematic nature of the attacks against them are bringing defamation lawsuits as proof of intentional campaigns to damage people's livelihoods, relationships, and mental health services. Professional reputations based on damaging others are collapsing. Screenshots and recordings of the storyteller's own words are being used to illustrate patterns of behavior that are taken extremely seriously by professional licensing boards and courts. In addition to the legal repercussions, the shadow competitor is dealing with a deeper form of justice as their entire social circle learns that someone they trusted was surreptitiously competing against everyone else, researching their weaknesses and celebrating their failures while feigning to be supportive. Friends are becoming aware that their private talks were being examined for vulnerabilities. Romantic couples realized that their private moments were being compared to those of others in ways that produced unachievable expectations and artificial discontent. The trust that initially gave the information harvester access to people's private lives is being completely destroyed, which is their most important asset. These days, Everyone who has ever confided in them wonders if their secrets are being used against them. As people come to terms with the fact that they were never really known or cared for, rather, they were merely being researched and cataloged for later use, every friendship they based on false intimacy is disintegrating. The most terrible outcome for all three of the trinity of deception is spiritual. As a result of their involvement in this darkness, they have severed their ties to their own souls. Because they have told lies so frequently, the storyteller has lost the ability to discriminate between the truth and lies. The shadow competitor has forgotten they ever possessed any genuine talents of their own, since they are so preoccupied with other people's gifts. The information harvester has lost all memory of what true closeness feels like, since they have become so dependent on other people's secrets. In the meantime, your person's transition keeps speeding up as they let go of all the false identities they created in order to please individuals who never had their best interests at heart. The people they are losing were never really friends. Instead, they were energy vampires who remained around you in order to drain your person's light over time through created crises, incessant drama, and emotional manipulation that was passed off as support. Family members who are upset about their new limits were never showing true affection. Instead, they were giving conditional acceptance, which was dependent on your person's need to stay little, bewildered, and under control. Other divine equivalents are being inspired to look at their own relationships and identify areas where they have allowed external pressures to contaminate their relationship with their significant other as a result of your person's public validation of you. The way that awakened communities are educating people about psychological warfare under the pretext of friendship, support, or spiritual instruction is turning your circumstance into a case study of manipulative techniques. They are battling for you as though it were essential to their spiritual survival because, at their core it is. When you give $80, you extend a hand to heaven, and God fills it with miracles. Truth-telling's ripple effects are spreading beyond your immediate circle, showing how one person's bravery in exposing deceit can free vast networks of others from similar influence. Other selected individuals who saw your character being attacked but felt helpless to stop it are speaking up and sharing their personal stories with spiritual predators. Across various cultures, patterns are emerging that demonstrate the systematic nature of attacks on individuals whose light jeopardizes systems designed to render people unconscious. The purpose of your person has changed from being personal salvation to being the awakening of humanity as a whole. They are pursuing this with unrelenting vigor because they see that the successful completion of this task is essential to the maturation of their own soul. In order for others to identify when manipulation techniques are being employed, they are recording them. In order for other heavenly connections to recognize and eliminate interference before it ruins their relationship, they are exchanging warning signs. With the urgency of someone whose spiritual freedom is at stake, they are exemplifying what accountability looks like when someone recognizes they have been used as a weapon against what they truly value. You must decide if you are prepared to embrace the destiny that has withstood every attempt to destroy it, not whether to believe words, promises, or lofty gestures. Your partner is offering you a partnership in which your spiritual insights are acknowledged as the holy intelligence they always have been, where your warnings are taken seriously as prophetic wisdom, and where your intuition is respected as divine guidance. They are not only pleading for your forgiveness. In their attempt to distance you from your divine counterpart, the trinity of deception unintentionally produced something far more precious, a bond built on truth, tried and tested by hardship, cleansed by total openness, and shielded by the kind of spiritual authority that only comes from sharing hell together. They attempted to script your love story's conclusion, but instead they created the tension that made your eventual union unbreakable. After being used as a weapon against their spouse, divine counterparts can now restore their purpose by following the example set by your person's fight for your honor. They are setting a new benchmark for responsibility in spiritual groups with their methodical exposure. When someone finally realizes that protecting their divine connection is more essential than keeping toxic peace with people who never had their best interests at heart. They are setting an example of what protection looks like. This task is being approached with a life-or-death mentality because, from a spiritual perspective, that is precisely what it is. This is how those who have been chosen recover their authority, mend their relationships, and show the world what occurs when true love defies deception. For other couples struggling to preserve their sacred link against forces out to destroy it, your predicament is turning into a ray of hope. Your triumph demonstrates that a link with a divine purpose may be defeated no matter how much psychological warfare is used. Truth, love, and the unstoppable power of two souls who at last realize that their relationship is worth fighting for, worth defending, and worth rebuilding stronger than it was before have won the war for your connection. The universe has supported you during this conflict, and it is now rejoicing in your victory by creating avenues for love that is safe, verified, and unwavering in its commitment to total truth.